Hello everybody and welcome to the Dawn Jarvis show. Do you want some tips on how to promote and build your brand online? My guest today is Vee Roberts and she's going to help us with that. Welcome again to the Dawn Jarvis show. I'm with Vee Roberts and she's going to talk to us about how to build and promote your brand online. Vee is a brand and marketing practitioner, author and consultant. She's a mother of four and she started her business on £100 after redundancy. We are going to talk about branding essentials, the importance of self-belief, and Vee's going to give us some marketing tips. Hello Vee, how are you? It's really
Hi,
nice
how you
to see
doing?
you. I'm doing very well. It was really good to have you and really looking forward to our chat. So Vee, I'm really interested in that you started your business on £100 after being made redundant. Can you tell us about this and how you got to be where you are today?
Well, I'll keep it brief. First of all, thank you for having me on the show today.
You're very welcome.
I started on £100 because I'd actually been given a redundancy package to exit the company along with my team because they were doing a big reorganization. They were actually merging two companies together. And prior to being made redundant, I'd been in the industry for just over 16 years in branding and marketing roles, heading up teams, leading on very big campaigns, advising directors and board members of, strategies that we should be using to grow a business, or in some cases public sector, charities, etc. So when I was given the redundancy package, unfortunately I didn't have a smart head on my shoulder in terms of business, and I didn't even think I would be starting a business. I'll be honest, I was actually searching for quite a while to look for all kinds of different jobs. I was pregnant with my son, who's now 9. And I was very much of the opinion that any job I was going to get needed to really offer me that flexibility, because as a mother of 4 now, one of the things that I'm very passionate about, even with my clients, is work-life balance. And for me, I couldn't find a role at the time that would fit into where I was really trying to head, director level, heading up a team, that kind of stuff. Yeah, been there, done that, could easily do the job, but just didn't want to be tied to an organization. So I decided to actually use what money I had left, which at the time was just £100, after having searched various jobs, applied for different jobs, but every time I got offered the job, there was just something there. When I asked the questions about salary or annual leave, something didn't fit. So I had £100 left, and I thought, you know what, I'm not going to apply for any more jobs. I'm actually going to start my own business. Fortunately for me, I have years of experience, in total now over 25 years of branding and marketing. So I knew how to, having worked with charities and low budgets, how to build my business on any budget, even zero. But I didn't really understand the kind of business foundation side of things. So yeah, register Companies House, sort out HMRC, but actually beyond that, there's a lot more, as I'm sure you probably know, needed to be done. So I was forced to start my business on £100 only because I'd stupidly spent off all of my redundancy pay packet, and it wasn't actually even that much anyway. But I didn't really have a business head on my shoulder at that
Bless
time.
you. I think that will resonate with so many people. I was made redundant too, and that's when I started my business. And you have a choice, don't you, about the sort of job that you want to do. And sometimes I think, and it was certainly the case for me, sort of like the circumstances, redundancy makes you not want to work in that kind of environment at all, particularly. And I know I worked full time when my children were small, and it was very, very hard. So I can really hear what you're saying about with 4 children. Wow, that you need that flexibility to be
Absolutely.
able to do that, and to sort of like and also be, if you are the boss of your own company, you set the values and you set the direction, and you do what's required, don't you? So I can really see how that would really drive you in your decision making about. So I really hear what you're saying about, the job didn't feel quite right. And even now you think, oh, I could go back to work, but I think, oh no, I don't want to, because you'd have to sort of sacrifice so many things that you can make the choices when you're doing your job, can't you? So that's really good. And I also really like what you say, and I think it's really good for the listeners and the audience to hear that you had expertise as a branding and marketing specialist, but you didn't have a business head. And that's the sort of thing that you have to learn, don't you, when you start your business. So, you know, well done you. And I know personally, having worked for the public sector for many years, is that you know, I have expertise in lots of things, but you know, actually how you apply that in business is a different thing as well. So what is your business, and what do you do, and how do you help people, Vee?
Well, I'm actually a brand and marketing practitioner. So I teach, consult, and also coach clients how to actually build brands, promote brands, develop brands, and keep them sustained by using effective marketing and branding strategies. And I've been doing that since I graduated. As soon as I did my degree, I jumped straight into graduate applications, and I was actually working at BT whilst doing my degree. I was working part-time with my 2 children that I had at the time. And long story short, when I graduated, I thought, right, there's a graduate scheme, so I'm going to apply. So my very first role was as a brand and marketing manager in BT Retail. And that was an experience, because that's actually where I learned so much about copywriting, plain English, you know, the importance of targeting and attention to detail, because a lot of the manuals and things that I was writing for the public needed to be absolutely on point. But my role has kind of changed over the years in my career, because I've not only done event management and social media management in roles, I've done internal communications. I've been an internal communications manager, stakeholder relations, and even a bit of PR as well. However, what I love doing and what I've brought into my business, which is insight to marketing, is the branding and marketing aspect of what I am very passionate about doing. So whether somebody has a new business, or whether they are, you know, in business for 10 plus years, as some of my clients are, it's just giving you the clarity that you need to actually help you to grow your business, and understanding actually these tactics aren't working, but these will work, or these are most likely to work, or, you know, you haven't got time to be doing all of this, so perhaps use your time in a different way. So it's really about clarity and structure, and helping people to be more consistent and visible, both online and offline. That's what I do now, and that's what I love doing.
That's brilliant. And do you find that your clients are organizations, or do you find that they're solopreneurs or smaller businesses, or is it the big businesses like BT that you tend to work with, or is it a combination of all of that?
Well, I'll be honest, that's a really good question. I actually prefer to work with the smaller organizations, because I am very passionate about empowering people to become their own boss. And I don't want to sound mean, but I have a feeling, just because of how I was when I was as an employee, I was always, even if my idea was brilliant, there was always somebody that challenged me, or, you know, wanted me to justify the reason. They didn't really trust me, although many of my ideas that were allowed went swimmingly well. But then on some campaigns, I wasn't allowed to spend that extra bit of budget or hiring that extra bit of resource, because someone would be challenging my authority. What I enjoy being a solopreneur kind of assistant, if you like, because I go into your business and I'll help you as if I'm working as part of your team, is that you trust me to, you know, lead you and give you advice, and the advice that you consider and then go away and implement is done, you know, based on your own decision making. So it's less of a, I guess, a kind of decision making process when you just work with a smaller organization. But that said, I do work with corporations and organizations. I've worked with the Arts Marketing Association. I've worked with larger companies, some of which I probably shouldn't name, but I've also qualified, if you like. I've been allowed to be a mentor for NatWest Bank and also Virgin Business Startup. So I do still do work, some of it pro bono, with organizations like NatWest and also Virgin, but then I also do paid work as well for external organizations who want to bring someone in. I've just been approached actually for a very big startup company local to me that are wanting me to train some of their team on marketing, some of their new staff that have come on in relation to marketing. They are marketers themselves, but there's some aspects of the marketing strategy that they need help with. So yeah, it's a mix, but my delight is in helping small business owners who are very much like myself, starting up with clarity, needing clarity around certain things.
I think that's so good. So there's a couple of things I wanted to say about that. So I know I came from the NHS and sort of worked corporate, but a lot of the things around the work I was doing was around health education and sort of like getting people to comply with treatment and stuff like that, which, you know, helps the bottom line at the end of the day. And I think maybe like big organizations like the NHS are missing a trick around marketing, like how do you target specific communities, you know, how do you get them to, you know, I have a thing particularly since COVID-19, in that, you know, what I noticed is that the way people consume news content, the way the people who they listen to around health messages, you know, we could talk for ages about the vaccine campaign and things like that and how that's been managed, is that, you know, there's a real thing around how do you market. And I know as a relatively new business, and I've been doing it about a year, is that, you know, that's what you don't get taught in corporate jobs. You don't get taught, and particularly in the public sector, I feel, around, you know, how do you engage and reach different communities who've got different needs, and you can't do the same thing for everybody. And I think that is, you know, so that's the thing. I think my biggest learning need as a business owner has been around marketing, and I think people don't realize that. I think people think, oh yeah, start a company, I can do that. But you know, I think there's a lot to it. So no, I sort of really respect you as a practitioner.
Yeah.
So you talk about it's you know, that there are branding essentials. You know, what do you mean by that, Vee?
I'll get onto that. I just want to quickly say though, with regards to NHS, because I also worked with the NHS as a self-employed business owner. Hard to reach groups, just a quick point on that. I definitely agree with you. And when I worked for public sector in the councils, I was actually heading up quite a few of their campaigns to hard to reach groups, Portuguese community, Bengali community, and so on. So I totally agree with you. It's often a missed trick, actually, even targeting young people. I did a whole campaign borough-wide. I don't know if you're familiar with Catherine Tate, the lady that used to say, am I bothered? Am I bothered?
Yeah.
I did a campaign with her. We had to get permission from the BBC. I did a campaign using that line, am I bothered? Actually spelling it BOVVERED, just to target a hard to reach group. And it was actually used as an example of best practice in the borough of Lambeth. But I digressed a little bit there. Just a great point that you made.
No, I think that's really important, because I think, so first of all, props to Lambeth Council for, you know, using publicly known things to actually engage people, a sort of a well-known phrase and everything like that. So good on you. And you know, props for them to getting a branding person in. So that, I think that's really innovative. And I sometimes think when we're in an emergency or when things are tight, we don't think out of the box, like how are we going to reach different communities. So I think that's good. So well done for
the campaign was
making that point. So you were saying the campaign was really successful.
Yeah, and it was to do with recycling. So we were trying to engage young people and hard to reach groups in the borough of Lambeth, and the headline was, "Are you bothered?" And then some of them said, "Am I bothered?" But it was all spelt Catherine Tate style, and we got permission to use that line. So it was very good. It was used as an example of best practice to how to engage with hard to reach groups. But just in terms of like branding essentials, there are a few things that I often remind people of in terms of branding, because a lot of people often think about just their logo and, you know, how am I gonna look, my color palette. I think there's kind of like a given rule now, which everybody can access absolutely everywhere. You know, your brand isn't just your logo. Your brand isn't just what people say about you when you're in the room. It's what they say about you when you're outside of the room. It's not just your website either. It's not the aesthetics. It's actually a lot deeper than that. So for me, branding essentials will look at things like your brand proposition, how you're showing up, where you're positioning yourself, how you're pricing yourself, how you are meeting the emotional needs as a brand to connect with the audience you're trying to attract. But it also looks at things like your brand experience, so how you make people feel when they connect with you, when you send that email, when they call you, when they listen to your voice message, right? When they read through your newsletter, how does your brand make them feel? And a lot of us actually, we go through this daily. There are brands that we perhaps detest, and there are also brands that we absolutely love. And that's because they make us feel a certain way. So brand experience is key, brand proposition is key, making sure you're positioning yourself in the right way, but also looking at your brand values. And this is something, again, I think a lot of us hear about, not all of us practice it, but really understanding what you stand for as a brand. whether you're a personal brand or a business brand, really having that confidence to own who you are and speak up about what you are passionate about. And I think I would say that's a brand essential, because it's something a lot of us miss off, but it's actually a great way to align with our audience, as is brand storytelling, right? So brand storytelling is way beyond, follow for follow. And, I'm sharing my brand stories so I can, get more people to follow me. It's actually talking to people about why you do what you do, and sharing case studies and examples of challenges you may have had, and almost like a timeline of your experience as a brand that people can connect with and also resonate with. And branding is essentially you almost saying to people, this is who I am, this is outside of the packaging and the visuals, right? This is what I represent. The marketing piece, which is linked, is how you're promoting that brand, how you're promoting the messaging, how you're promoting your logo, how you're promoting your identity, how you're showing up when you're doing lives, how you sound when you're doing audios. So it's the promotion and the two-way engagement and the humanized interaction of your brand that helps your business to grow. So there are a number of different aspects of brand essentials, but I would say definitely brand storytelling, making sure you've got a strong visual identity, making sure that you are connecting with people and offering a brand experience, and also making sure that you are, you've got a strong brand proposition as well. It's very important. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love the way you explain the difference between branding and marketing. I love that. It was really, really good. Thank you for that. And you also talk about the importance of self-belief. And I think, I think that's something that business owners, maybe particularly women, I don't want to single out women for this, may have a problem with, because I think if you're working alone, you have to be the person that says, right, gonna get up today, gonna do this, this is what I need to do going forward. I had to fill something in, and said, what's your plans for 2022? And I was like, what are my plans for 2022? And sort of like believe in that, and sort of like, forward planning and stuff like that. So, what would you like to share with us about sort of the importance of self-belief?
Well, I would say it's absolutely fundamental in business to genuinely believe in what you're doing. And sometimes, I've come across people who I've spoken with on, consultations, or who've wanted coaching from me, that I've unfortunately had to decline because they're not ready yet. So for me, self-confidence is that you totally believe in what you're doing and you are confident in what you're offering. And the reason why I am so passionate about this when it comes to being a business owner is because if you don't believe in your products and services, or you doubt your price, or you're not comfortable and confident in how you show up, then it's very difficult for others to believe in you. And without being fake, and without putting on airs and graces, and without, pretending to be confident, because I don't believe in the whole fake it till you make it. I'm not about that school of thought at all. I genuinely believe that where confidence might be lacking, we need to make sure we feel more confident before we do something. So I'll give you a perfect example. I'm coaching a group at the moment for the next 6 months. And today we were congratulating one of our members because she's done her first live. It lasted for about 29 minutes. She had over 30 odd people coming on the live, staying on the live for the duration of the live. It was the first live she's ever done talking about her brand story. And she was saying, this was amazing. Thank you to Vee. Thank you to the community. It was, brilliant experience. And I would encourage all of you to do it again, to do it. And, she's going to be doing it again. But what I got from that was, it's so important that people are ready, because I always encourage anyone I work with to use video, but not until you're ready. A lot of us are listening to gurus and experts telling us to go live, stream every day, jump on. But unfortunately, there are some of us who really are not confident. We don't know how to end the live. We don't know how to caption the live. We don't know how to bring people into the live. We don't know how to, host a live period, but we're jumping on lives. So to me, that's not necessarily about self-confidence, but it is about experience and actually being professional when you're showing up. So for me, self-confidence is aligned with professionalism. Self-confidence is definitely aligned to, being comfortable. And that comfortable factor is what enables you to sell more and connect with more people. We've all been to networking events where we're really nervous, or we might feel slightly awkward in the room for various reasons. And sometimes that can come across, that energy can transfer and people pick it up. And sometimes you'll get someone very kind that will say to you, you okay? Okay, you look a bit nervous, or are you on your own here as well, so on. So I think self-confidence is key when it comes to branding and marketing, because when you're writing, you need to speak from a brand of authority. When you're speaking, you need to speak with confidence. People need to listen and believe in you. And ultimately, if you're trying to connect with people, they need to connect with someone that knows their stuff, whether you're providing a service or a product.
Yeah, that is very true. And I think it's something, so, it may come as a surprise to people, but I really struggle with video. I like talking to people, but actually sort of like on my own, projecting and sort of doing lives is something that I have struggled with. And I think what you're saying about connecting to authority and knowing what you stand for, and and when you know what you stand for, when you know what you're delivering, when you know what your product is, when you know what your brand is, that helps, doesn't it, really? So if I was going to ask you, what would you recommend for somebody who you might feel is not ready, or may feel themselves they're not ready? Because confidence is it's around knowing yourself, isn't it? And knowing what you stand for and being very true to your beliefs and your values. And when you have that, I say that's like a true north, so when it's off, when you're not going down that path, and that helps. But I think, particularly as a business owner, so I was very confident in the NHS and what I knew about, but as a business owner, you might not be as confident to do that and to go out there and say, I am Dawn Jarvis and I represent this. And and there are things that and I've really thought about my mission and what I want to do and what the whole point is, but to be able to articulate that when you start off can be difficult. And also I'm writing a book about networking, so it's really interesting. It's for people who aren't going to go to a networking event, because that would be the worst kind of thing ever. But there's different ways of networking, there's different ways of talking to people, there's different ways of getting across what your values and beliefs are. So I was just wondering, what you would say in support for somebody who was thinking, I could never do a live, I could never go on a podcast, I could never do that kind of thing, but I've got something to offer the world, but I might need support to be able to get to that point where I can talk about it confidently.
Well, I would say one of the first things is admitting that you need help, admitting that you might need advice or support or coaching, and being willing to do the work. There's things like media training. There are things like coaching communities. You can do consultations. There are a number of things. If you can't afford to invest in any of that stuff, then Instagram have very recently introduced a facility whereby you can go live just to yourself. So if going live, as an example, is something that scares you, makes you feel slightly anxious, then practice going live to yourself on Instagram. Some of my clients who are in my 6-month coaching group have recently done that and found it extremely valuable to, overcome their fears. In addition, I would say as well, in terms of like building confidence, there are confidence coaches that can help you. There are public speaking coaches that will help you. There's Toastmasters, there's TEDx, there's lots of things that I would encourage people to check out. However, the best way really is to talk to yourself. And this might sound a bit crazy, but look in the mirror and tell yourself you are amazing. Tell yourself what you are good at. Tell yourself what your strengths are. Tell yourself why there's nobody else like you. And don't forget to remind yourself that your brand story is actually what differentiates you, what makes you different rather, or how other people differentiate you from others in your industry. So by sharing your brand story more, whether it's written, audio, or speaking, or lives, you are going to be able to immediately eradicate any sense of duplication or imposter syndrome, I feel anyway, because you're talking about your story, which is unique to you. So I would say to someone who might be watching this or listening in that is having challenges with self-confidence, get the help if you need it. Invest in support or coaching if you can get it. I offer that as well. I do videos one-to-one with my clients, and by the end of the first session, they have content ready to go. But also don't forget to practice and tell yourself, there are lots of self-help books as well. But I would really recommend, when it comes to going live, that you just feel the fear and do it anyway. There are all kinds of fears we have as business owners where we may lack self-confidence, whether it's selling, telling someone our price, speaking on stage, But in all instances, I would just say try and practice. Practice makes perfect. And for the perfectionists that may be listening in, I would say sometimes you do have to go for progress over perfection. A lot of people might disagree with me on that, but I genuinely believe sometimes you just need to crack on, because I know of clients that I've worked with who, prior to working with me, would literally sit in front of a video, having their child or sibling recording them, and they would not put the video out because, you know, they've got a hair out of place, or, you know, they wiggled their nose, or something scratched them on their face. And that is, to me, delaying progress. So I hope that helps someone today.
It definitely will. And I love the phrase progress over perfection. That is fantastic. I love that. So you've obviously got loads of experience, and so I wanted to talk about, you know, we talked about marketing tips that perhaps could help someone who is, you know, thinking about how they could market themselves, either in their business themselves or in their organization or community group.
So if they're in an organization or business or community group, are you talking about marketing as an individual or marketing the business?
Let's do business first, and we can say as an individual later, because I think, you know,
Yeah.
so because I think part of this is like, and your branding is your marketing yourself, aren't you? Really about, you know, you are selling yourself. I was on a course on that, and someone said you're selling yourself all the time, like you're selling whether people want to speak to you, whether people want to buy from you, whether people want to listen to you even. So it's a continuous process, I think.
Definitely. The main difference between a personal and business brand, though, is that when you're a personal brand, you are the face of your business. So whether you're a consultant or whether you are a, you know, delivery driver, if you are a personal brand, you are the face of your business in most cases.
Yeah.
When it's a business stroke logo, that is the actual face of the business, then it's very different. You sometimes might speak in a kind of we rather than just as an individual or a person, and the connection that you make is slightly different as well, I believe, with the audience. But just going back to your question about marketing tactics, I think it's very important that people understand who they're targeting. One of my personal pet peeves is when I see people that have got a brilliant brand, amazing, you know, visual identity, you know, really great offer, but they're not promoting it to the right people, or perhaps they're promoting it to people that are constantly asking them to change the price, or, you know, asking them the same questions because they don't really get what it is they do. Sometimes that can be, the onus can be on the business owner if they're not communicating the message effectively. But in most cases, it will be because they're not showing up in the right places. So first point would be definitely look at where you are targeting and who you are targeting. The second thing would be, in terms of marketing tactics, a lot of us love social media and a lot of us love being online. But let us not discount the fact that social media is just one aspect of marketing activity. There are lots of other aspects of marketing activity, whether it's offline at events, whether you are, you know, talking on the radio, doing a bit of PR, print advertising, you know, banners on railings with permission. If you're going out and you're meeting people, you know, conferences, exhibiting, and other things as well, like webinars and quizzes and, you know, competitions and giveaways. There are many ways to market your business. For me, another pet peeve is that a lot of people that I see struggling on social media ignore the fact that that's just one aspect of marketing. So I would say to anyone listening, if you're not seeing the results you want, and you know that you have consistently shown up on social media, that you perhaps are showing up in the right spaces, but maybe your marketing still isn't hitting it, ask for, you know, feedback, get a review. I have a 5-day brand and marketing review program that I offer to clients, and anyone can access it actually, but it's available, and it's there to review what you're doing to ensure you get the best results possible. But I would say definitely look at, you know, how you're showing up and who you're targeting, but also don't ignore offline marketing and other online marketing as well. Email and video being, you know, strategies in themselves if used alone. So it's just not just about social media. That would be my second point. And then my third point is analytics. And I want to use this, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I just want to say a lot of us are doing marketing and we're not actually evaluating what we're doing. So yes, we post, we get the likes and comments, but we wonder why we don't get the conversions. Or we send out lots of emails and we don't get the opening rate we want, but we're not sure why. Or we make offers and we get a few sales, but they're not consistent, they're not regular, and we don't know why. Often the secret is sat within our analytics. We're talking about the email data, the opening rates, who's clicking through. I'm talking about how often people are actually accessing content, your most popular types of content. And in terms of your offer, again, relevant to audience, but have you pitched it correctly? Are you communicating the benefits and so on? So for me, I mean, as I said, I could go on about this for ages because it's one of my passions. Is marketing tactics aren't just social media. You can go beyond that, well beyond that, sponsorship, all kinds of things. But also looking at, effective ways of marketing by targeting and making sure you're using your analytics. I would say those are 3 key things, definitely.
That's cool. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that. So many gems there. And you've written a book as well, haven't you, about this? You talked about your course and things that are available on your website, but you've also written a book. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I can. I'm actually sat with one on my desk because I was literally writing just before I started. This is the 2021 edition. So the 2022 edition is available on order now. It's a planner. And the reason why I decided to create the planner was because I figured out that a lot of people don't like planning. Right? We won't admit it. We don't like the structure. We don't like the planning, but we know it's something we need to do. Mm-hmm. And I also worked out from coaching clients that a lot of people don't like templates. They find it a bit daunting, a bit like an admin task. Mm-hmm. So I thought, why not create something that will help people to understand more about, for example, their social media. So giving them workbook sections and their branding and understanding what their budget is at and understanding how to use marketing and how to effectively grow their business. But aside from those workbook sections within the same planner, I've also got a weekly and monthly calendar with key dates in it. So when it comes to organizing content and thinking of campaign ideas, it's all here. Got useful date sections in each section, and as well as some quotes from me as well, and lovely pictures, all color coded as well, and as doodle pages, journal sections and everything. So it's an all-in-one for anyone who is in business who actually wants to be more organized. It's got that personal aspect to it as well. So it's got reminders in there about, drinking water, staying fit, if you can manage it, making time for yourself, because that's something a lot of us don't actually make time in our diary for. And so I created this with a solopreneur stroke business owner in mind, and it's just £24. And a lot of people have said to me, Vee, it's actually really cheap, but I want it to be accessible. So it's accessible, and it actually is complemented with my app, which is absolutely free. And that's available on my website.
Brilliant. That's lovely. I really like that. And it looks very useful. We're going to check that out, and we'll have links to that and in the show notes, both on YouTube and on the podcast website. So you
no problem. I'll actually send you a copy.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. That's really fantastic. You mentioned sort of talking about water and those things that we don't look at, people don't look after themselves. I think that's so true. And the whole basis of this podcast, sort of like YouTube channel, is around entrepreneurs and my sort of theory, based on my own experience, that we don't look after our health because we're quite driven, we're working very hard, it is very hard, and that one of the things that goes is that looking after yourself. And so I really like that you put those reminders to drink enough. Like, I've got 2 drinks in front of me, haven't drunk one yet, need to do that. And to do that, so I ask all my guests this, that how do you look after your own health and well-being? You're a busy woman, you've got 4 children, you run a business, you've got programs going, you've written books, you're doing all the things. How do you make sure that you keep healthy?
Well, I'm quite pleased to say I've recently come off of caffeine, because I used to be someone that bragged about how much coffee I drank, almost like I was trying to earn a badge, which is not very good, because caffeine is not good for us. No. So I've come off of coffee, and I'm now I've been mixing smoothies and blending juices for a long time now, but I'm now on turmeric and coconut milk. And I thought I would actually struggle with this, because when I commute, especially when I'm going outside of London, I'm often asked to speak outside of London at events and things like that. And I was at an event, and I struggled because I was going past a Costa, and I could smell coffee. And I haven't had coffee probably in over a month now. And I thought, my goodness, let me go in. And I was just about to order coffee. And instead, I saw on the menu, they had turmeric and rice milk latte, I think it was. So I ordered that, and it was the most delicious thing ever, because normally I make it from home. I buy it all natural from home. So I like to have non-caffeine drinks now. I'm trying with the water. I'm trying, but I am getting the water in through my juicing. I'm going back to, because, wow, I've got a bit of blubber around my tummy. I'm going back to the fitness in the morning. So I've got a lady that, one of my clients who's amazing, she's in Wales. She recommended to me a lady who is on YouTube. I think her name's Lucy, and she does like 7-minute workouts.
Oh, that's
yeah. And let me tell you, Dawn, she's amazing. This woman, I don't know how she does it. I don't know if she's just rehashing old videos, but anyway, she does 7-minute workouts. And actually, I ended up over 2 weeks, I ended up going from 7 minutes. In the beginning, I was struggling with 7 minutes. This is the key to consistency. I struggled with 7 minutes when I first started. I started off about 2.5 minutes, and I was very anemic, so it all made sense in the end. But when I got my iron back, I was doing my exercises, and I was able to do 45 minutes, and still even gone on beyond if I hadn't had work to do.
Oh, this is fantastic news.
At home. So I am going back into that, because I slipped off when I was away in the Caribbean. I slipped off. I was on the rum punches, and I put on a bit of weight again. So I need to get that off. So I'm going to be on a mission, and I think I'm gonna do a little vlog just to hold myself accountable publicly. Yes, Lucy on YouTube will be my best friend again, and I do it from home, because I can't get to the gym. It's just not practical with the children and everything else going on with the family and staying on top of housework, etc. It's a lot. But I do encourage anyone to put your health first. If you need to say no, say no. If you need to cancel a meeting, within reason, cancel that meeting, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And something that I learned in year 4 of business, and I'm actually now going into year 9, my goodness, is that sometimes we say yes to everything. Everything's presented as an opportunity, and we're so keen to grow our business that we say yes. And actually, that can lead to burnout. That can lead to overwhelm and stress, and not even knowing what you're doing, because you've just been taken off track by someone else's opportunity. So health isn't just about physical health, it's also about mental health as well. And that's what I would share in relation to my own journey. But I've done a few things over the years, but those are some of the most recent.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love the tip with Lucy and YouTube. I have to find out who she is and put that in the show notes as well. So that is brilliant. So you've got a gift, a promotion, so people can work with you, haven't you? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, and you know what? It's not just for people that want to work with me. I love to be able to give tips and help people do, well in their business. I like to be able to do what I call shares of quick wins. So I offer to existing business owners, you must be a registered business, quick wins. So people might be stuck with certain aspects of their marketing or branding, and I'll invite you to jump on a call with me. Now, because I don't offer it to everybody, it's not something I publicly put out there. There's not like a link you can click on to just book instantly. But for your listeners, I would love to offer a complimentary 15-minute consultation. If you're a registered business and you have a question around branding or marketing, or if you just want to ask me something in relation to growing your business, please do get in touch. You can access my information on calendly.com/insights to marketing/15. That's 15 mins. And believe you me, within that 15 minutes, you'll get a lot of tips. That's guaranteed. I've never had someone leave without feeling like they've got a lot to go away with. I can cram a lot in. I'm sure you've picked that up from today's podcast.
I have, and it's been really, really good. So thank you for that, and I think that's a really good offer. I've had 15 minutes with Vee, and it's well worth it. So I would take that, and that'll be in the show notes as well. So and otherwise, how can people connect with you, Vee? I know you said that social media isn't everything, but you are on social media. So how can people connect with you?
I'm very active on social media, not just because I like spending time on there, but because I have a social media management agency. So I like to oversee what's going on with client accounts. But on my page, Insight to Marketing, or if you just search for me under Ask I2M, the hashtag Ask I2M for Mike, But there's another way, a new way, which is via my website. So I've got a chatbot, which is actually me speaking. I've got a chat facility on my website, so insighttomarketing.com, and you'll see a little chat icon, and you can talk to me right now if you've got a question, provided I'm awake, and I will respond to you. I don't really like, I have a phone number, but I don't welcome calls without an appointment, because I'm quite structured and organized in the way that I run my business. But people are welcome to talk to me via the website, or just reach out via social media.
That's fantastic. And we'll put the links to all of that in the show notes. So we're coming to the end. It's been really, really good, Vee. Have you got just one last tip or gem for well, you've given us loads, by the way, and thank you for that. Have you got one last tip for the audience as we close the show?
I would say one tip from me, which I've said since day dot of running my own business, is baby steps are better than no steps at all. And I would share that with anyone who's in business, whether they're just dabbling in an idea or, trying to map their way through, what you're going to be doing in the next few months. Take baby steps. Some of us try and leap too far ahead. We invest in that expensive course. We run off and get that website designed. We hire that photographer, and we're not even clear on the foundation in terms of, why we're doing what we're doing. Is there even a need for what we're doing? Have we done any research, and who are we trying to appeal to? So there's some fundamentals, but the baby steps, those incremental baby steps, they're key, because they actually end up being a huge success. So if you take baby steps rather than doing nothing and standing still, and also remember to ask for help. That's 2 tips in one, isn't it? Ask for help and take baby steps.
That's fantastic. It's been an absolute pleasure, Vee. Thank you so much for your time and for your tips and for your wisdom. That's it for the Dawn Jarvis show today. And if you like what you hear or what you're watching, remember to like, share and subscribe and comment below. There was a lot there today. So thank you very much and goodbye.
Thank you for listening to the Dawn Jarvis Show. If you enjoyed this episode, there are 2 things you can do. Number 1, leave Dawn a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean so much to her if you took a moment out of your time to post your thoughts on the show. It will help Dawn reach so many more people and help them with their well-being. Number 2, subscribe to Dawn's email list, the Diverse Nurse Digest, using the link in the show notes. Until the next time, thank you and goodbye.